Hi, William.
Hello, Rod.
How are you?
I'm great.
I just watched a truck dump a whole lot of soil in the front of my yard, and it was very exciting. It's the best way to start a podcast. I'm in the mood now.
Okay.
So the whole planet, well, it's actually not unrelated, coincidentally not unrelated, but we'll get to that. The whole planet is alive with black markets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Crisscrossed with people trading in, I mean, we know the obvious stuff.
Infested. When you said the whole
Infested.
planet is alive, it feels like there's a virus, a
Oozing.
plague, an ooze of black markets.
Kind of, I suppose.
Okay.
And the obvious ones, guns, drugs, human organs, whole humans.
Whole humans?
There are black market
Of course.
trades
Yeah.
in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
people.
In slaves. Yes.
Yeah.
Do the organ ones exist? Because I know that people talk about them.
Haven't
and
you seen that movie?
And there's the whole stories about, you wake up in the hotel in Shanghai or something like that.
in a bath full of ice.
In a bath full of ice and,
Yeah.
and dial this number if you want to live or something. Like, do they exist? Are you going to tell me they exist or you don't know?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to tell you that.
All right.
Because there's a whole bunch of less obvious stuff on black markets that you might not think about.
All right.
I like your nervous face. I
All
enjoy
right.
your
No.
nervous face.
You're going to tell me it's like chocolate frogs or something like that. And it's like, why?
Japanese flight attendant uniforms. Ladies only, of course. So there was a spate of this. They became highly sought after when traveling business folk, men, began to fetishize the clothing. So Guardian said back in 2010 some of those uniforms could sell for more than 10 grand on that black market.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Oh, damn. Well, see, I think this is airlines not capitalizing on opportunity here.
I agree, especially at the moment.
It's just cosplay. People dressing up in the costume of choice.
I
Sell it.
assume if it's
And it's-
Japanese, you'd pay more for one that's pre-worn.
Yes, probably. Okay. Yes. Okay.
I'm free-forming here. I
Yeah,
didn't read about it. I didn't read about
I get it. But it's not like you're impersonating a police officer or something. It's just a flight attendant.
I'm not. I've given that up. Hair extensions?
Black market.
Yeah, there's a big black market in the US.
So please tell me there's a regulated market for hair extensions.
Yeah, you can go and buy packs. They reckon this is I don't know, mid-2000s, $100 per pack for some hair extensions in the US, 100 US. So there's a bunch of thefts of these things, and they got black marketed. Kasumazu cheese. Do you know the Kasumazu cheese?
Kasumazu cheese. Kasumazu. Is it Japanese or is
Sardinian.
it Sardinian? Kasuma.
It's made from sheep's milk, but it also, part of the attraction is it's chock full of live maggots.
That touches my cheese spots. I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
some now. That sounds so good.
I saw it in a show like The Cheese Hunter or something, these old men eating it, and I thought, I'll give that a crack.
There is a show called The Cheese
There
Hunter.
used to be. It was an unusual chap.
Niche content, but this is my niche
Yeah,
content.
absolutely.
The Cheese Hunter.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I was watching that and he goes, there's this cheese and the maggots are part of the thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, right.
Oh, how do you get that job?
But the problem, of course, is it's because of health regulations, it's essentially illegal in most places. So getting it means you've got to be a little bit sneaky.
I have had cheese with maggots in it, not deliberately.
When you're on the sea for months on end, with no land in sight.
You had me biscuits. All right. I just run a note to
I'm
biscuits.
eating my own legs.
No, it was from a shop quite recently. But
Oh, shout out. No longer sponsors of the show.
no, I'm not saying who it was. But
Bull semen.
I don't doubt that bull semen is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if you can jump into a field, jack off a bull, and sell that for an amount,
You deserve whatever you can get, I say.
you
What did you do? I whacked off a bull.
I do love the idea, though, of the rival farmer running in and chasing you off with, obviously, a pitchfork while you're jacking off the bull.
Get your hands off that.
You've got your hands cut full of bull semen and you're trying to run away.
Do I put it in my pockets?
It's dripping through your fingers. Obviously, you've brought a Tupperware container. What volume of Tupperware container do you need to bring?
That's your 9-quart. Jerry can, perhaps.
The bull is coming, but it takes quite a while, and so the farmer is chasing you off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw a doco on a woman who used to whack off rhinos, but that was legit.
Oh, if it's for science, you're allowed to do it.
And Tide, the laundry liquid from the US, Tide, and they talk about Tide Pods and stuff.
I thought Tide Pods were like dishwasher.
Yeah, but they make all kinds of
yeah.
detergents, and the original Tide liquid, just an everyday laundry liquid, for some reason became a really big deal. And for a while there were people selling it, second hand as it were, for more than 50% of market value. I don't know why.
Why would you buy it and then sell it for less than?
No, for more 50%
50%
on.
more?
On, yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
I know,
don't know.
like baby milk or baby formula.
Yeah, baby formula.
I-
and breast milk. There's a market.
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But baby formula, I can very much imagine there are situations where that's the one do you trust, that you like, that your kid likes, whatever it is, and you will pay more because that's it. But Tide Pods,
Not Tide Pod, the liquid, like the big plastic container of the clothing liquid.
But yeah, it's like I would change if they've run out at the shop.
Use a different one.
Okay.
So anyway, those are, there's one item though that's been thriving. It has a thriving and sometimes lethal black market across heaps of countries. And it's even more innocuous and anodyne than hair cheese or laundry detergent.
Hi there, listener. Welcome to the Wholesome Show.
Yes, welcome.
Science stories about black markets and other things for you to listen to. Because you listen to podcasts, and this is one of them. It's brought to you.
You're probably sitting in the back of the class.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's all in the wrong order, but it doesn't matter because I'm Will Grant.
I'm Dr. Roderick Griffin. Want to buy a watch? Lamberts.
I've always
watch? Yeah, I know.
You get a trench coat and you get to sell watches contraband.
No. You have like 19 up your arm and you pull your sleeve up.
I do hope there has been someone somewhere once that did sell watches like that. But we are brought to you by the Australian National Centre for Public Awareness of Science.
And bull semen.
Yeah, that's...
Well, we've covered that quite thoroughly now. I think it's fair to say that therefore...
There might be another episode on that one day.
I did normal semen, so to speak.
Yeah, you definitely have.
So anyway, our story begins at Poyang Lake in Jiangxi province in China.
Okay.
And it probably sounds familiar to you, right? You've heard of this?
No.
No, I'll tell you why you have heard of it. Because it's the site of the largest naval battle in history.
Really? Poyang Lake? A lake is the largest battle?
Well,
is it an internal lake or an
It's an internal lake, but it's there are different ways to rate the largest battle, and this one is according to the number of personnel involved.
Okay. I guess there's number of personnel, number of ships.
Yeah, because size or what do you call it? The
tonnage of ships?
No, float girth displacement.
Yeah, well, that's like tonnage.
No.
Float
you can
girth.
redistribute float girth.
You looked up float girth, didn't you?
No, there are so many different ones. There's like, the most number of battle cruisers and blah, blah. But this one had the most number, allegedly, of people. And it was in 1363.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to guess that.
Yeah, I think you would. I could see it in your eyes. You had a 1360-ish vibe.
Well, by guess that, I meant it was going to be pre-2021. And so therefore, I was right.
Most of history is. It's fair to say. So, that was in the Ming Dynasty. Anyway, there were some 850,000 dudes involved.
Wow, that is a lot of people to get on the water.
Yeah.
Like, that is a party. On a lake, too. That is so civilized. That is so civilized.
It's a big-ass
Let's
lake,
get 850,000 people onto a lake, have a big fight. This is going to be...
But I figure in the 1300s in China, they're probably on yunks.
Yeah, sure.
On your junks, which aren't the biggest boats. But anyway, Poyang, the largest freshwater lake in China. So it's a big lake.
Okay.
My fingers are sticking to.
So it's obviously not lake contraband, or
yes, they're exporting lakes.
No, it might be a black market in lakes.
The lake, it's a key flood outlet for the Yangtze River. So that when it overflows during summer, it can cause extensive damage to crops and property. So in the winter, the lake's waters flow back in and out of the river. So this is an important lump of water. And apparently the area of the lake fluctuates dramatically between wet and dry seasons. So you're talking in a normal year, the area of the lake averages around 3,500 square kilometres.
Yeah.
Which is about 15 miles.
3,500 square kilometres. I'm going to guess 3,501 square kilometres in...
Oh, no, it's 3,500 miles on average, in between. So probably the moist season.
Oh.
The tepid. The what is it? Cupboard dry, but not quite totally dry season. So what's that got to do with black markets and recent events that have involved things like the shooting murder of an entrepreneur in South Africa?
Yes, what has it to do with that?
2 Indian villagers being killed in a gun battle in 2019.
Mm. Villagers or villagers?
Villagers, yeah, not whole villages. Although, yeah. Or a Mexican environmentalist who was also murdered for related issues. So these people are apparently the latest casualties or recent casualties in a growing wave of violence sparked by the struggle for one of the world's most important but least appreciated commodities. And it's a commodity that Poyang has in spades. And
it's going to be fish semen.
Sand.
Sand?
Sand.
It's just sand.
Just sand.
No, there's sand all over the place.
Oh, we'll get to that. Literally sand. So sand is the world's second most consumed natural resource next to water.
By volume.
As opposed to colour?
By importance or by love.
By amount of use. Like we use
Okay.
butt tons of sand.
Do we
around.
really? All
Butt
right.
tons. Like I didn't know this. Colossal amounts of sand. So it's the primary raw material for basically almost anything you can point to in a modern city. Or at least many things you can point to. So concrete.
Yeah.
Asphalt largely needs sand and gravel. And one source says, look, concrete and asphalt, they're basically just sand and gravel glued together.
Yes.
The glass in basically every window,
Sand.
windscreen,
Also
smartphone,
sand.
all sand. Silicon chips, you've heard of them.
Yeah, sand.
And basically you couldn't be listening to us right now if it weren't for sand.
The internet is sand?
Yep. Without sand, we're totally boned, dude.
Oh. Okay.
So it's no biggie because, as you say, sand's freaking everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the beaches are on coastlines all around the planet. The Sahara Desert is about 8% of the Earth's land area, 9.2 million square kilometres. That's just one desert. Australia's about a third desert.
And by desert, they are sand. Is that
that
implied?
I think you need sand for a desert.
No, you don't.
No, for dry. Do you call Antarctica or Arctica a desert too?
Yes.
Because there's no water?
Yeah, that's what a desert is.
Sandy desert then.
There you go. Thank you.
But even with this, the problem is the world is facing a shortage of exploitable sand because, and here's your problem, desert sand is shite for making concrete. Wind eroded stuff is too smooth. It doesn't adhere to each other. It doesn't
It's got to be
connect.
your rough stuff.
You need your rough
You
stuff.
got to be rough. It's not smooth.
Yeah. So if it's been tumbled around in a river, you get chunky
I
bits.
want the water eroded sand, not
It's-
the wind eroded sand. I did not. So the Sahara is
Literally
useless.
Useless for that. Useless for particularly concrete.
Can we grind it up a bit?
Dust? I don't know. I didn't get that far down
Alright.
that particular rabbit hole, but look, no one suggested.
Because
so
here
I'm
was
guessing
me
no.
thinking we've got mines all over the Sahara for sand, but no, obviously we don't.
No, I know. And look, I thought this too. I found this story via a poem about sand. And I thought that's a bit boring, but why do they care about sand? Oh my God.
You found this via a poem about sand. How did you find the poem about sand?
Well, it found me. You know how poetry is.
Well, when you're googling poems about sand.
Yeah, that's you just stolen the romance. So you need stuff from rivers and lakes and or on the actual seashore.
I stand radically corrected.
I know. So this is why we go back to Poyang Lake. So for a long time, the sand needed to work in China came from the bed of the Yangtze River. But by the late 1990s, miners had pulled out so much of it, the bridges were being undermined, ships were getting blocked, and 1,000-foot, so what's that, 300-metre swathes of riverbanks were collapsing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So obviously the authorities got a bit unnerved by the damage to a waterway that serves 400 million people. So they banned sand mining in the Yangtze in 2000. So everyone went, okay, fuck it, we'll go to Poyang Lake instead. And they started mining it there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably sand mining now in the last 2 decades is responsible for basically screwing this lake.
Oh, no, of course.
wildly.
I was assuming any industry in China, you give it time and it screws the local environment. I mean, probably any industry in most parts of the world, but a little bit more rapacious in China, just the scale that they've got.
They're certainly sand hungry. They're saying the lake surface reached an all-time high in the summer of 2020, so a depth level from bottom to top, 22 and a bit metres. But that was months after it hit a 60-year low of 8 metres the year before, according to satellite measurements. So it's not cool. It's gone from really extreme highs and lows in the last couple of years.
Just because we've been sucking up so much sand.
Because we've been fucking with it. So the boats they used to dig it up are essentially giant floating platforms with huge conveyor belts and buckets, and they just go chugga, 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 and just haul the sand out, which would make a great Lego model. But
it should.
Yeah.
Lego. Make us a giant sand
I want a
dredge
sand
model.
dredge with
Something that you could really put in the bath. Like it fills your whole bath. You put your sand on the bottom, then fill the water on top, but you put your Lego sand dredge.
And you sit there and you got to move the old champ out of the way as it dredges the sand from the bottom to the top.
Oh no, I was thinking it's filling the whole bath. Like this is not me and it.
Why not?
Like I'm watching it from outside.
It used to be adventurous.
No, this is.
So it became an issue. They got to this lake and started routing things up. The sand that gets moved to transport ships. So it goes from these huge flat palms, not platforms, flat palms, onto transport ships, and in one narrow part of the lake, they reckon dozens of dredges go from the shoreline to shoreline, leaving a very thin passageway between them for tugboats that are piled high with sand to trundle through them. It's obscene. So according to one person working there, we used to make more money, but now there's just too much competition. One of the crews and the dredges. There are too many people doing the job, which is great.
I get that it's pretty easy to get out of the river.
Yeah.
You bring it up, you put it on a barge, you then take it to Bunnings, and Bunnings has a Chinese barge full of sand, and they put it in playpens and stuff like that. How much money is there in this?
Oh, we'll get to that. There's a lot. And I forgot to say also, the lake was at least a national nature reserve, like really important nature reserve for birds, nearly extinct dolphins. President Xi described it once as the vital kidney filtering the country's water supply.
Yeah, okay.
So
I am
cool.
liking now the idea of these giant buckets of sand coming up onto the barge that have dolphins in them occasionally.
Dolphins and wee-wee, because they're kidneys as well. So basically that's a bit of a problem. So the sediment that's stirred up by doing this interferes with the endangered porpoises' vision and their sonar, so they can't really fish, because they can't find the fish if they want to. But, of course, there are fewer fish to be found as well.
Oh, there you go. Well, so why worry about it?
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about it. So the locals, you get one who's saying, look, I like this quote from a wrinkled fisherwoman selling plastic bags of crayfish.
No, she's from Central Casting. That's not true.
Really
she's not
is.
true.
She really is.
She's
Everyone
not true.
quoted here is, the boats are destroying our fishing area. They destroy the fish breeding grounds. They muddy the waters. She says she's lucky to make the equivalent £1,200 a year now. And we're talking today, not like in years gone by. Another fisherman says, look, I've been doing this for 30 years, and now he's got to work part-time on the sand boats to make ends meet. So that's pretty cool.
The sand boats does sound very Dune. Like
it does.
I got to go and work on the sand boats. No, it's like a form of weird slavery in a sci-fi novel. Like that's a...
Oh, yeah. Look, we'll get to slavery, but no sci-fi.
Okay.
Isn't that great? It's just delightful. I mean, this is really, it's for those of you who have tweeted and or outed us about, doing negative stories, don't worry, so's this.
Why don't you make me happy?
There's things that'll make you go, ooh.
Okay.
Happy? Well, you're being amazed. Look, some people are really into Po Yang sand mining. So one guy, he's described as a genial middle-aged businessman based near Shanghai. He says he's raking in about £180,000 a year trading in sand.
Oh, okay.
£180,000 is a lot of money, and in China, it's a fuck ton of money on average.
Yeah, but he's not a billionaire.
No, he's not. You're right. Try harder, Fei Wei Dong.
I know, like kind of good on him. He's doing an industry that the world needs, but,
Well, he's pretty excited, and he says, look, he buys boatloads of sand, he shits it 300 miles down the Yangtze River, and he resells it in Shanghai because the construction industry there is booming. And he says with great pride, my sand helped build Shanghai Pudong Airport.
I'm sure.
So he's stoked. So how much concrete are we talking and going in that this sand is going into? So China's been on a building spree for the last few decades, more vast than anything the world has seen in history. So from, let's say, some examples, 2011 to 2013, that period, China used more cement than the United States used in the entire 20th century.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is I mean, I am not a cement numbers guy, but that sounds like an awful lot of cement.
Yeah. In 2 years, more than 100 years before in America. It's just
But not
amazing.
much happened in America in the 20th century.
Nothing.
It was a quiet century.
Like, let's sit back and think about
Let's just do wood. Let's do lots of things in
just
wood.
doing a lot of wood.
Woodworking.
Yeah,
This is the woodworking century for America.
20th century,
We're
America
gonna
just work the wood. In 2016, apparently China used enough construction sand to cover the entire state of New York an inch deep. And we all know what that means.
Why do people give these analogies?
This story was so full of them that I'm like, I can't use that one.
Why?
I know. It's like, the South District of Buffalo, 9 quarters deep, but only in the middle where it dips a little down to 3. Like, it's just, some of them are hilarious. Here's another one, though. According to the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, in 2002 alone, the world used enough concrete to build a wall 89 feet high and 89 feet wide entirely around the equator.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get that. That sounds big.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
So we're talking 27 meters, 26, 27 meters wide and high
It's
around
a strange
the equator.
wall. I would have gone taller and narrower.
Yeah, but so you're a visionary.
I would have gone so what do we say? 89. I would have gone 890 feet tall and
an inch deep.
Yeah, something like
wide.
that.
Yeah.
No, a big one.
This is good
Do
concrete.
it properly.
So that's pretty impressive. So basically, because of all this stuff, particularly in China, Poyang Lake's suffering spectacular damage. And if you're interested, this is for people listening and playing along at home, Reuters have a site called graphicsreuters.com, Global Environment Sand Poyang. You go there, the visuals and the story they provide are really quite amazing.
It's nothing but pictures of how big you can build sand, how much you can spread it.
Like the shots, like as you pan across Poyang Lake and the boat's basically wall to wall. There's these weird interactive graphics that show a cross section of the lake, how it's gotten shallower and deeper and weirder. Like it's pretty impressive, I have to say. It's quite a website. Anyway, one of the sad things is the damage being done at this lake is not at all unique in the world.
No, I didn't assume so.
Isn't that cool?
I didn't assume so. I thought that all of our lake dolphins were probably not doing well.
Well, we don't have any left. It's very sad. How's it going? So, where were we? So, like, there in some places around the world, locals basically dig out the riverbanks with shovels and they haul it away on a pickup truck or a donkey. In other places, of course, multinationals dredge the living shit out of it.
I think, again, the shovel donkey crew, not
the problem?
Not billionaires. I don't think. No, I don't think they're the problem.
There aren't that many. I mean, there's a few, but yeah. So basically, there's catastrophic damage going on. So other places, let's do a little tour, a happy tour around the world for our upbeat listeners. Vietnam.
Let's say there's a lot of damage going on there too. Am I right?
Oh, can you see through this?
Yeah.
So the Mekong Delta, it's home to 20 million people, source of half of all the country's food and much of the rice that feeds the rest of Southeast Asia. That's a fair few people.
Okay.
For centuries, it's been replenished by sediment carried down from the mountains. So,
so this is renewable.
Yep, it's all fine.
Don't worry about it.
It is a good story.
It's replenished, so it's not a problem.
Yeah, so for centuries, it had been replenished.
Oh, okay. Damn, you're going to stop me. You're going to stop me. I was thinking this was all fine.
I wanted to see you happy just for a moment, just before we give you the bad news. In recent years, each of the several countries along the course of that delta or that river, miners have been pulling monstrous quantities of sand out of the riverbed. So in 2013, a study reckons about 50 million tonnes of sand were extracted 2 years earlier, just in that 1 year alone, 2011. Also, alongside all this, 5 major dams have been built along the Mekong, and 12 more are slated for construction in China, Laos, Cambodia, etc. So the dams further diminish the flow of sediments.
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah.
Dams stop the sand. So you can only get the sand upstream.
Yeah. On donkeys or
I don't know.
big boats.
Mountain sand.
Mountain
Is mountain sand any good?
What's mountain sand?
I don't know. It's closer to the source.
I mean, yes and. So natural erosion of the delta continues, but its natural replenishment does not. Which is cool because researchers with the Greater Mekong Program in the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, not the, wrestling champions.
No, it's WWE now. They backed off.
Yeah.
There was a fight. Between the WWF and the WWF. And weirdly, the wrestlers lost to the environmentalists.
Do you know why? They're fake competitions.
No, I think they lost because actually there was actually an internal fight as well, something like that.
Oh, a bit of a scuffle. Anyway, apparently nearly half the delta will be wiped out by the end of the century, according to their projections. That's no big deal. It's only 20 million people, most of the rice, blah, blah. So whatever. But it's not only third world or second world developing, what do you call it, global southern countries. The USA has copped a flogging and continues.
Mississippi Delta. Is it the Mississippi Delta?
It really is.
That's what I was going to say.
Not.
Oh.
California.
Really? I don't know the rivers in California.
Don't you? Come on, name one.
The Potahanke.
Yep. And the grand old... Wet.
Yeah, and Old Duckins number 2.
And the one that goes from Texas through to California, the Yeehaw.
Yeehaw?
That's a great river. You can drive one of those boats that's got the fan on the back and no depth. What do you call it? Draft. A lot of draft and no length.
You are such a boat person.
I'm like a
all of
sailor.
your boat knowledge today is just shocking. Shocking knowledge of boat knowledge.
I'll have you know, I've been on at least 2 yachts. Maybe 3. So anyway, for most of the 20th century, there were sand mines all along the California coast.
Oh, okay. Beach sand.
So beach sand in this instance for other purposes. Oh, no, beach sand you can still use because it gets roughed up.
Yeah.
In the late 80s, the federal government said, no, mate, because it's destroying all their famous golden beaches.
Yeah, we want some surfers.
Yeah, we do, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's more important.
But it's trashing. I mean, California's kind of a bit known for that.
So what?
Yeah, good call. Actually, you make a fair argument.
You need only one good surf beach, and then you trash everything else.
That's for you to give me a beer.
I'm doing that.
I know. I'm just making sure. Clear communication, man. We're from that centre. So, but there's one beach left just north of Monterey, which is in California. Everyone knows that. It's the only one in the US that still is being mined for construction sand. And it's been, I love it. It's been mined.
Are you just a prelude here? Are you going to tell me which beaches in Australia are being?
Australia does come up.
Okay, all right,
but not at the level of horror. There's a not great thing that I just
got to know what I can.
I think our beaches are okay. I don't think we're being raped in that direction.
Do you have to?
I don't have to. I don't do it. I'm not the sand guy. So what I love here in the Monterey or near Monterey, it's a Mexican company doing this.
Oh, yeah, well,
it's kind of a little bit of poetic justice. Speaking of poems, no, it doesn't make it right. So there's a company called Cemex. And they're a global construction firm based in Mexico. They operate a dredger that is estimated to suck about 270,000 cubic meters of sand every year out of that beach.
I don't know what to compare that with.
It's like 917 sub-levels of Wembley Stadium.
I have no idea.
Laid end to end.
I have no idea how much that is.
It's got 6 figures. That's big.
Yes.
I mean, if I gave you dollars that had 6 figures, you'd be happy?
No.
You wouldn't?
I mean, you can tell me it's a lot of sand.
It's a fuck ton.
It's the big one.
And it's cubic meters.
Oh,
not linear meters.
Your cubes are good. I mean, what did you have? 12 cubes of dirt dropped off.
I had 12 cubic meters of dirt.
Which is basically the whole American dirt supply
in one go. There's no dirt. We'll do dirt next week. So the plant is allowed to still operate because there's a legal loophole because apparently it seems to sit just above the mean high tide line, which means it's out of federal jurisdiction.
It was in the Constitution. Yeah. Like it said, shall not deprive anyone of liberty, something about free press, a well-regulated militia. Yep. You can have a gun.
Yep.
And sand dredging if the water line comes up to it, where the starfish are.
Yeah.
So you can sand dredge above the starfish,
above
but not
the
below the
mean
starfish. Definitely.
Line.
Jefferson said a lot about that.
He really did. He would go on and on. I've read all the books.
Shocking how much he went on about starfish and the sand line.
But when he became an actor, he was very good. Very good. So yes, that means they're allowed. So a recently retired coastal engineering, so he said, look, this is the fastest eroding shoreline in California. We're losing 8 acres. So, I don't know, 1 million square cubits.
8 acres is like an acre is like a nice horse paddock. So 8 of them.
Of pristine shoreline.
Yeah, but pristine's an adjective. Give me science.
11 pristine units of shoreline.
No, I just,
So pristine shoreline, not underneath the water.
How often? How often are we losing the 8 acres?
A year. Oh. On Up Beach. Not all of California's beaches are beachal area. And a spokesperson for Cemex apparently was contacted by this source and via email, and they said this Professor Thornton's conclusions are based on what we believe to be erroneous, speculative data and unsound theory. Yeah, imagine a corporation saying
7.8 acres. 7.8.
Yeah, speculative. You fuck. I think that was how they signed off. It's going on in Africa. You'll be shocked to hear. Ghana, sand miners have dug up so much ground that they have exposed.
Are you going to tell me when you're going to give up on concrete? Because concrete's pretty important.
I love concrete. See, I don't love it as much as you. But
no, I love it a lot. So you just
we'll solve it at the end.
You just got to balance this. You got to balance all this hatred of the concrete industry.
We're going to solve this at the end.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't leave you high and dry hating concrete because then you'd have to go and burn down your house because concrete burns.
No, it doesn't.
No. It's a science-related podcast. So in Ghana, yes, so much ground has been dug up that there are foundations of buildings on hillsides are at risk of collapse. Kenyan officials shut down all river sand mines in one part of the country a few years back because environmental damage was trashing everything. We go to Taiwan. Sand mining caused a bridge to collapse in 2000.
Jesus.
This is just one example of many. In Portugal, 2001, a bus was passing over a bridge on the shores where the rivers were degraded by sand mining and it collapsed and 70 people died.
Oh, Jesus. I mean...
Yeah, it's not nothing.
It's not like the sand miners are thinking, yeah, they're not doing this for evil. Well, how can we collapse the bridge?
No, but that's collateral damage. I mean, what do you know? Friendly fire. Yeah. Look at the money we made. In Australia...
Okay, here we go. Here's the big one.
Look, I wanted to dig deeper, but I ran out of time.
Right in the middle of Lake Burley Griffin?
Yep. How did you know?
I don't think it is.
People out there with their Lego sand dredge
Sydney Harbour.
shovelers.
Sydney Harbour.
Yes.
Yeah, we're sucking it out of the opera
That's why it's so deep. Floodplains. There are floodplains, and I don't know which state. I didn't get to delve. They're home to the world's biggest collection of rare carnivorous plants.
Oh, yes, obviously.
Being
that would
wiped
be...
out by sand mining. I know. I'd not even heard an inkling of that ever. See, we suffer too. Our rare carnivorous plants.
How are you not telling more about our giant collection of carnivorous plants?
Oh, that'll be the week after next
Look,
episode.
tell me that.
Okay, some of them, right, are shaped like donkeys. A few have large teeth.
I want donkey lion
They
plants.
don't eat flies, they eat wombats.
That's what I want.
Well, they don't anymore because they're being wiped out
I
by
want a
sand
plant
mining.
that chases down wombats.
A triffid.
Oh, you know.
You don't know what the triffids are, do you?
Of course I know what the triffids are.
What are they?
They're the plants that come after you close your eyes in the middle of the night. And everyone goes blind except for the people that had the coverings on their eyes.
Oh, that's pretty good. You're not entirely wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could do that in a non-Russian accent, I would give you 5 stars.
No, I'm not going to do it.
In India. India's Supreme
Taj
Court.
Mahal.
Yep.
Undermining the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, just trying to extend it. It's their Supreme Court recently warned that the alarming rate of unrestricted sand mining is disrupting river ecosystems all over the country, with fatal consequences for fish and other aquatic organisms, and disastrous for many bird species. And a bridge collapsed in 2016 in India, killed 26 people. The local government says there's no way it was about sand mining, but basically everyone else says, yeah, it was, champ. So that's not cool.
Does sound like yeah.
It seems like people are indiscriminately having a slash at it all and it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Hard to imagine,
How close
isn't
are they sucking to the bridge?
Probably very. or they're sucking at a point where the way the changing course of the river comes down, it fucks with the stuff that is
Yeah,
close
no,
to the
I get it. You build your bridge with an idea that that's what the ground underneath is, and then suddenly someone sucked 8 meters of sand out of
it's
there.
like, oh, it appears to have changed. Flexibility engineering.
You know, I really didn't think about sand mining before.
Me neither.
I had never really,
neither.
except for there was a they did do sand mining in there was a big fight in Queensland, Joh Bjelke-Petersen time. There was a big fight in sand mining. In the 80s with Joh Bjelke-Petersen. I got to find what that was about.
Episode after the week after the week after the week after next.
Maybe not. It's but they did. The Joh Bjelke-Petersen, famously corrupt government in Australia. Just one story.
To which Scott Morrison screams, "Hold my beer."
I know,
but
right?
yes.
But just one story amongst many others.
Yeah.
Where they sold land out of Brisbane, heading towards the bay. And they only let real estate agents go there at low tide. You can show that.
Come on.
because
No, I reckon I can guess.
because it was not land. It was not land anymore at high tide.
Did that come back and bite anyone in more recent times?
I don't understand how you could possibly get away with that for more than a minute.
I know, and you can imagine the develop. Oh no, I really know what I'm doing. I know how to develop, and this is real cheap.
The instant you start putting a house on, you go, oh shit, eh?
Why is it sinking? It's not sinking. The water's rising. Oh, it's different. So, all this shit's been going on. All this environmental damage, people dying sometimes, etc. Potential food baskets of large regions being destroyed. But of course, the demand for sand is not dropping.
No, I want a lot. I want a lot of sand.
You got a big pile out the back there. I quite like that. We're going to go plane it after this. I'm going to build you a castle. So the number of people living in urban areas has more than quadrupled since 1950. 4.2 billion odd people. The UN predicts another 2.5 billion will be living in urban areas in the next 3 decades.
Cool.
So that's a couple.
So we need more sand. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
We're going to need more sand.
Yeah. So that's the equivalent, you'll love this, of adding 8 cities the size of New York every year.
If it's not really.
It is. It's written down.
It's not really.
You suck. It's written down.
Like it's the equivalent in some sense.
Yes, like most equivalents. You're good at this. You're not good at analogies, are you? I didn't know you had this thing against them.
I just. It's like adding 8 New Yorks. Where is the new culture that we get? The new film industry.
The new Nazi.
Yeah, you know exactly.
I want another hipster.
It's not.
Antique clothing village.
It's adding a sliver on all of our existing New Yorks.
Which makes it okay. Then you're right.
It's
you're
a
right.
few more people in Brisbane and a few more people in Shanghai.
A few more 2.5 billion people.
Yeah. Okay.
So the UN estimates that 4.1 billion tonnes of cement is produced every year. Billion is a big number in case you weren't sure.
Okay, that's fine.
And but they reckon the global use of sand and gravels related matter might be 10 times higher than that of the cement that's being produced.
Please don't tell me I've got to worry more about gravel.
Yeah, you do. But sand in particular. So that means for construction alone, the world consumes between 40 and 50 billion tons of sand and gravel aggregate every year. That's a lot. We're back to the wall that circles the Earth.
I now know this fact. 450 billion tons.
It's the same thing. It's enough to build that wall that circles the Earth 27 meters.
Which would be cool. Like, is that every year? Is that every year?
Every year.
So we could theoretically stop what we're doing and build a wall around the equator.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah, but we'd have to do nothing else with that
nothing
material.
else. But I would sign up for that.
Of course you would.
I would sign up.
Because it doesn't affect you.
It does. It does. I would stop doing a lot of things to build a giant wall separating the north and the south.
Would you entirely give up on concrete, any concrete for a year?
No, I'd be making a lot of concrete. Obviously, I'd be helping out. I'd be up at the wall.
So you're a good
I'd be moving to Singapore and building a wall.
Oh, we're going to get.
I think we get. Do we get Singapore? I hope we get Singapore.
We're going to get Singapore.
If we build a wall on the equator.
Of course, we hit Singapore. Not hit.
No, I want to get. I want because obviously
you're over Singapore.
The southern hemisphere is going to lose out hard in this. Like we're the loser hemisphere in all.
What
of
do
this.
you got left?
You get Australia and South America, and that's it.
I feel like there are a whole bunch of people in the Pacific right now who might go, "Hey, mate."
I mean, of the big bits.
Well, that wasn't clear. That wasn't clear.
I just that's why I'm making sure we get Singapore. I want.
Oh, you don't want to get Singapore as in we're going to get you.
No, on Team Southern Hemisphere.
You want to have them.
Team Southern Hemisphere. If we're going to build a wall, we're going to make teams here.
A bit later on, you might not like Singapore as much. I could be wrong. I may have underestimated.
No, I love all of our sand mining peoples.
I bloody love Singapore's a nice place. So anyway, we also think, speaking of Singapore, we use a lot of sand to make land. So in Indonesia,
okay, sand
miners have completely erased at least 24 islands since 2005. Erased.
That seems like a crime. You know, we were talking recently about the fixist approach to the world map. That the continents we have are always the continents we've got. I feel like they would be troubled by people erasing islands. Like they're like, no, this was.
Well, we're not talking continent-sized islands. So
no, I get it. Erasing a continent would be tougher, but still, I think the idea of going, okay, there were islands, now there are no islands.
See that there aren't any.
So, are they taking these islands away, or are they turning these islands into one island?
No, they're removing them. They're
gone islands.
The matter that created.
I think that is a crime against the natural fixist map of the world as it should have been.
Look, it's not cool.
1801.
Yeah, it's not cool. And most of the stuff from those islands ended up in Singapore. Told you, it didn't take long, did it?
This, in some ways, it's like a very abstract way of being like a Marvel villain. Like there's this Marvel villain called Galactus. He's like the ultimate. It's weird. I don't know how you make a story about him.
I haven't
anyway,
seen that movie.
Yeah, but he eats planets. Like that's his thing. He eats, and I think when he's
okay, now I'm impressed.
When he's really gets his dander up, he eats galaxies. Like he's just an eater.
Points, but literally can get his mouth around a planet.
I think so. I think that's the thing that he does. Which I mean, okay, cool. But I do like that Singapore is
oh, it's insane.
Island devouring. That is cool.
Yeah, most of it because they need.
What size islands are we talking about? I mean,
11 to 12.
All right.
Island units.
I just want to know how much
precision.
I want to know how much I should think. Oh, damn, this is cool, or okay, this is bad. We should.
It can be both.
Oh yeah, fair enough. That's actually probably mostly my emotion always.
Especially with Singapore, though. Singapore does things you kind of go, "Fuck, that's awesome." It destroyed all this stuff. Okay, it's partially awesome.
So you're saying every big shiny office building or big shiny bit of new architecture, we should assume that there's a couple of islands that have been destroyed.
No, not to build. This is to make more of Singapore. To enhance the size of their land. This is sand to make land.
That's cool.
See Indonesia, you got that land in the islands you're not using. Can we have it over here?
I do think, you know how one of the ultimate destinations in the I don't know what theory of science fiction this is, but you go through the civilization 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's
type 1s.
Yeah, type 1 uses all the resources of a planet. Type 2, and I might be getting this wrong anyway. Type 2, wraps solar panels around the sun, so it's capturing all of that energy.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's a version of this, like redistributing all of the land around to be the most efficient version of Earth that is possible.
Oh, we need to start a movement. Return to Pangea. Let's bring it all back together again. Let's become one giant landmass.
I think they've already got a name for it. Like
really?
Some people call it Proxima Pangea, and some people call it.
But they're trying to engineer it.
It's where North America and the Americas and Europe crash together in the Arctic.
No, but to try and engineer it. So we're back to, you did an episode years ago on strategic use of nuclear weapons.
Yes,
I'm seeing a purpose now.
We could.
To bring us into one giant landmass, which
that will solve all problems.
it would certainly solve a lot of plane problems, as in flying.
Yeah, we could do everything by trains.
Maglev, goddamn. So, apparently, according to this quote, Singapore needs titanic amounts of sand to continue its program of artificially adding territory.
Again,
Titanic.
you used monstrous before. What is Titanic?
Bigger than monstrous.
Yeah, okay.
Would you rather fight a monster or a titan? I'll take a monster.
Titan's cooler.
Yeah, but a monster's small.
I just think we need to have a list of superlatives: monstrous, Titanic.
I think the climate change panel described and defined what monstrous Titanic.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Humongous.
It means 90% certainty.
So apparently, have I got the right page? Singapore has added an extra 20 square miles over the last 40 years to its landmass. So it's the world's biggest sand importer. Little tiny Singapore.
I can understand how you want to do that, though.
Of course.
Does their border change when they do that?
I think they move into the waters, so it depends on international waters.
Yeah, but international waters aren't international waters typically defined as 100 nautical miles away from your edge, from your coastline, or the midway point. Because obviously, say the UK and France, 100 nautical miles, I think, actually covers the whole English Channel. So at some point, you just divide in two, that's fair enough.
It felt longer than that when I swam it.
Unless you're Australia and Papua New Guinea, in which case Australia's border goes so close to actual Papua New Guinea, you can see it. But we just claimed way more of the Torres Straits than they did.
Of course we did, because we're second-tier colonialists.
I know, right? But anyway, does their border change if they grow the island?
I don't know. That's in the episode the week after the week after the week after the week after next. So the demand Singapore's demand has denuded beaches and riverbeds in countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam.
I was going to guess those countries.
And they have now restricted or actually banned the export of any sand to Singapore now. They've said, specifically, you can't do it.
We'll give it to Australia and New Zealand and
Singapore.
Mozambique. You can all have it, but not Singapore.
Mozambique's actually the first one they say yes to. I don't know how are you sure you can't see through these notes? Dubai.
Yeah, exporter or importer? No, because it's desert sand there. It's no good. It's got to import.
There's an interesting angle in Dubai. So they have huge and increasingly more powerful dredging ships that suck up tons of sand from the ocean floor, and they pile it up on the coastline to make it bigger. And those palm tree shaped.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're making those,
which look cool as hell. I mean, look, I know Dubai is probably wrong, but it's the closest thing to a weird sci-fi piece of the world I think we have.
It's very
because it should not be there.
Yeah,
it's entirely artificial and shouldn't be that shiny. But they've created so much artificial landmass from scratch, and therefore they have a lot of company. They steal a lot of sand. As an aside, there is so much demand for certain types of construction sand in Dubai, which does sit on the edge of an enormous desert, but it's not the right kind of sand. They import sand from Australia.
That's great.
We sell sand to the Arabs.
There's certainly proverbs about that.
Yeah, we actually do it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, high five all around. I mean, I love that. Are we allowed to say Arabs now, or is it something else? Middle Eastern folk? I don't know. But anyway.
They are different things.
We sell sand to the Arabs.
Arab can be an ethnic group or people who speak Arabic. Middle East covers a whole bunch of people that definitely don't speak Arabic, from Iran to Israel.
God, it's good to have you on board, because I didn't know any of that. So according to some research, human beings since 1985 have added 13,500 square kilometres of artificial land to the world's coastline.
That is so good. We are fixing this planet. Yeah, finally, we will get to all continents. We'll fill in the oceans.
Yes, we will. Back to your land bridges from last episode.
You know, we will mine Mars eventually,
and so that
we can fill in the oceans.
It's probably too fine.
Just have one ocean that is super, super deep, and that's it.
But I assume a lot of Mars sand now is wind eroded rather than water, so that's no
is.
good. If you want to know how big 13,500 kilometres is, here's another one of your favourite.
Oh my God, it's Delaware.
It's about as big as the nation of Jamaica, and we all know what that means.
I know. I walk around Jamaica. But no, I literally do a lap. That's my morning walk. Is a lap around Jamaica.
Jamaica. No, she let me.
Stop it.
You're welcome. I didn't make that joke. So despite all this stuff, right? So there's all this damage, all this harm, people being angry, blah, blah, blah. So to quote a senior person from the United Nations Environment Program / GRID, Geneva's Global Sand Observatory Initiative.
How do you get GRID out of Global Sand Observatory?
Different languages, I think. Observatory de Sand. So Louise Gallia, she says, look, the issues around sand has become very diffuse. They become very complex. They're hard to resolve because if you ban river sand extraction, of course, there's knock-on effects to people whose living depends on it.
Oh, we're just going to suck it out of the ocean.
Yeah, but it means, you can't do that anymore. Okay, now we're fucked. We have no money. And because of what we did before for money,
it's impossible for them
to
fish. Their skills are so unique that they will not be able to go into any other industry.
That's why the Australian National Party will represent them.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
So the bottom line, she says, is, look, sand is perceived as cheap, available, infinite, and it's pretty much because the environmental and social costs are not priced in, which is an issue. And, of course, the global rate of sand use far exceeds the natural rate at which it's being replenished.
Oh, you told me it was renewable. No, okay.
It is, but not properly.
Yeah, okay, not at that rate.
So let's sum it up. Sand demand is increasing.
Yeah.
The right kind of sand is getting rarer.
Oh.
It's not being replenished as fast as it's being taken. Damage from mining sand is getting worse. Regulations controlling it are getting stronger. But that pushes competition to get more fierce. Black markets.
Oh my God.
Black markets.
All right. How do you even do it? How do you sneakily steal some sand
on a plane?
Because I'm still back to the guy.
What's in the condom in your bum? Sand. Yeah, I don't know. Pockets full. Well, look, it's gotten to the point. There are many sources, but the demand for sand is so intense now. In some places, organised criminals have taken over, and the United Nations Environment Program (UNEP) has now warned of what they call, and many countries call it now, sand mafias, thriving sand mafias.
This is so Dune. It really is.
Except there's no life-enhancing, reality-expanding drug involved.
Yes,
it's disappointing.
But still, sand mafias is a cool term. Like if you're going to be a mafia on something,
what do you do? Sand mafia. I don't know whether to be afraid or giggle at you. I got a gun. Like I'm afraid. So groups of builders, dealers, businessmen, etc., operate in many countries. For example, Latin America and Africa. According to human rights groups, and I promise this, children are being forced to basically work as slaves in sand mines.
Stop it.
I promised you slavery and you got it.
Stop. Child slavery too.
Even better, see?
Which country was that?
A number of countries around Latin America and Africa.
Okay.
In Mexico, an environmental activist whose name is Jose Luis Alvarez Flores.
That's beautiful.
I know. Jose Luis Alvarez. I know that's not Mexican Spanish.
You're really not doing it justice.
You mean Justice? He was an activist in southern Mexico, and he campaigned against illegal sand mining in a local river and was shot dead. And a note was found in his body threatening his family and other activists, saying, "Stop it."
Big sandcastle.
Sand mafia.
A big sandcastle.
Yeah, that's what they live
on his
in.
body. They put a sandcastle.
No, that's what the bad guys live in.
I want like a horse's head on his body,
a mermaid,
but made out of sand or something.
Don't do it anymore, mate. In South Africa, a couple of years ago, a sand miner was shot 7 times because he was fighting with another group of sand miners. I love it 7 times too.
Oh no, but you do a few shots just because you
warning shots.
You get started.
Warning shots in the abdomen. There's violence over the sand trade. It recently has murdered people in Kenya, Gambia, and places like that. Not Nambia, because that doesn't exist. India's got it going on. India's really got it going on. India's like the shining light of this stuff. So the ABC, Australian version of the ABC, foreign correspondent show did a story on this in 2017. So I'm just going to draw on that a little bit. So in India, the government has promised to build, you're going to love this, the equivalent of a new Chicago every year.
Again. It's
buttons pushed.
It's
But they're saying the demand for sand is insatiable. Its construction industry in India is said to have tripled its consumption of sand since 2000. Tripled since 2000.
Okay.
Do you understand that one?
No, I get it.
You understand
it's
triple.
more. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that.
It's 3 times more. So it means India's got some serious shit going down. Organised criminals are pillaging millions of tons of sand from the nation's beaches, riverbeds and hillsides. Millions of tons. So there's a blanket ban, essentially, or close to, on unlicensed sand mining across the whole country. You are not allowed across the whole country.
But unlicensed, there's a ban on unlicensed. Like that's just say you got to get a license.
I don't think they give them out frequently or easily.
Okay.
That said, apparently the sand mafia operates with pretty much impunity. So there's a quote in this story from a tractor driver who says, look, I have to give money to the inspector and the officer at every checkpoint. And basically whatever's left over from that bribe is barely enough for food.
Oh, of course.
The sand mafias have injured hundreds of people and killed dozens. So it's a big deal. An activist, Sumaira Abdullali, was beaten and hospitalised when she blocked trucks taking sand from her local beach. And she said, look, it's probably the largest scam ever in our country. What's going on? A farmer, Brij Mohan Yadav, he took on illegal sand miners and was kidnapped and beaten. And he now lives in perpetual hiding with his hiding away from his family because he's in fear of his life and theirs.
Oh, damn.
But at least they both lived.
Yeah, okay.
So the father of an activist called Akash Chauhan, he complained, the father complained that the sand mafia had trashed his communal land. So 3 men stormed into his house while he was asleep and shot him dead. So Akash's brother also died mysteriously a year later. Mysteriously. So now Akash says, look, sand mining is ongoing.
Just to pause for a second. If you're a mafia, if you're a mafia.
Yeah, and I am.
Yeah, but you don't want to send mysterious messages. Like the point of the horse's head is to be unambiguous. We are here to fuck with you. Yeah. We will kill you. But killing someone mysteriously is not great.
But the Indian mafia is not the American mafia.
No, I understand that.
So maybe there's differences.
No, of course there's
There's Bhagavad Gita differences.
I get it, but
subtleties.
if you want to get rid of someone without being caught, that's very different from you want to get rid of someone and send a message.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah,
don't be both. Mafias out there. Mafias. I know we are huge amongst the mafia demographic.
Big sponsors of the show.
Whether you be sand mafia or Italian mafia, Russian mafia, whatever you are,
University mafia.
That one is the not scary one. It's super not scary.
Depends what you're after.
Just think about your comms. Think about your comms.
Yeah, what's your key message?
Killing is comms. Like the medium is the message.
It's true.
So just follow through on that. Don't just half-assed it.
To be fair, though, I agree with you. But to be fair, to say that the brother died mysteriously could mean almost anything. It's a bit conspiracy theory. They also killed him. How do you know? We don't know why he died.
It's weird how he was secretly tortured to death and no one can see the torturer. Okay.
Or just woke up unalive.
Yeah, no.
No, it sounds like probably. But Akash has said, look, sand mining is ongoing. My father was against it. I'm against it. So is my family. So my father's fight has become my fight. So he goes on. So he's working with the crew who are doing foreign correspondent with the ABC. And he named the chief suspect in the murder, and then he took the reporter and the crew to where illegal miners were doing their job.
This all went well, I assume?
Well, it went interestingly. So the quote from this report was, as the team films, a tall man materializes and confronts them. I know. Where did you come from? His name is Sonu, just in case you're listening, Sonu. He is the accused killer.
Okay.
And this is how they enigmatically leave it with the crew must decide, do they stay or do they go?
Oh, do you interview the killer?
Yeah, well, the person is most likely a murderer. So it sounds like it's pretty uncool. And it goes on. So there were 2 separate incidences in which, in one case, an 81-year-old teacher and in another, a 22-year-old activist were hacked to death with machetes.
Stop it.
A journalist was burnt alive.
Oh, damn.
Until they were no longer. Police in Rajasthan were shot at when they tried to stop a convoy of tractors carrying illegally mined sand, and the ensuing gun battle left 2 miners dead, 2 police officers hospitalised. At least 3 police officers have been run over by sand trucks.
I'm not laughing. I'm just...
It reminds me of a fish called Wonder. It's like, how fast could they move?
Exactly. It's like being killed by a Zamboni.
Yeah, exactly. Am I going left? Am I going right? Doesn't matter. I got time to readjust. But they died. God, we're callous. And this report goes on to say that authorities are paralysed by inertia and corruption. So to quote a magistrate in charge of an area where illegal mining is carried out routinely and brazenly in full daylight. So this magistrate said, no mafia. You're probably mistaken in believing that sand mining is going on here.
Yeah, it's not.
End of interview.
What you're looking at
isn't that.
Is not. It's not.
What you see
We
is
are moving
else.
a beach. There was a beach. It's now over here. The beach wanted to move.
We're putting it inland for the poor people who can't get to the coast.
Exactly. This is helping.
So what do we do?
Check at Bunnings. Is it check at Bunnings to see if your sand is slavery free?
Yeah, child slavery first.
Well, yes,
there are levels.
But no, I'll take all slavery free. And then...
Look at you, caring about the peoples. So clearly industrialization, population growth, urbanization, etc. It's not going anywhere.
Are you saying I've got to stop building skyscrapers?
Look, just cut down a bit.
All right.
Cut down a bit.
Later.
Yeah, cut down.
I'll cut
Tomorrow.
down. I'll cut down on my growth in skyscraper building.
On Monday.
So I'll go from previously growing my skyscraper building at 10% a year.
Yep.
I'll cut that down to growing at 9% a year. Will you take that?
I will.
Okay, good.
I applaud you, man.
I'm basically an
You've taken a
environmentalist.
sand stand.
Nobel Prize, please.
Okay, you can have mine.
Peace Prize. I want the Peace Prize. You don't have a Peace
I didn't get that one. No, I got the grudge holding prize. Nobel Prize for, I'm still going to get you 30 years later, mate. So the United Nations Environment Program, again, there's a climate scientist there, Pascal Peduzzi, and he says that the challenge has just not been adequately addressed globally. And this is interesting. So it's very new. In many of the development policies, there is no one even talking about sand. Like they're not even thinking about it. And I hadn't either until I started looking into this. They don't think about where it's coming from, the social impacts, the environmental impacts. So the conversations aren't even being had, which is cool.
It's cool to have another thing to worry about.
No, something new to focus your energies on.
Another thing to worry about.
It's going to be great.
Have you checked if your sandpit sand is slavery free?
Do your kids feel a strange need to cry every time they use it?
Yeah,
it could be the vibe.
Yeah, even there might have been murders in that sand.
Yeah. For good reason, though. And what is it? Smiling porpoises with no fins have died. He goes on to say, look, no big plans. There's no standard on how it should be extracted. There's no land planning on where it should be extracted, where you should not do it. There's no monitoring to where it's coming from in most places. No enforcement of laws because the countries are pondering between development needs and the protection of the environment. So the situation is shit hot right now. It's all going well. And of course, though, a recent report from the World Wildlife Fund on the global sand industry said, look, in many Western countries, it's basically river sand mining's been phased out. So it's cool because the West has solved it for themselves.
Yeah, and so we just import it?
Yeah, stop worrying about it too. We don't talk about it.
Where do we get our sand from?
Nowhere. We make our own.
We're a big country. We've probably got a lot of sand.
Yeah, we have the stuff where we had the carnivorous plants.
That's true.
We can just use that.
That's true.
So it's hard to get the rest of the world to follow suit with the West. So preventing or reducing likely damage to rivers will require the construction industry to be weaned off sourced aggregate. So once again, the ultimate solution seems to be we have to find ways to reduce our use or just not use it at all in the future.
No, can't we find some sand that is ethically
Space sand
fine?
again. Mars sand.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we can.
Yeah, okay, Mars sand is too fine. I get it. But isn't there some...
It's also a fair way away. You need more than a barge.
Isn't there some ethically, environmentally okay sand somewhere?
I think even if there was, we just need too much of it.
Oh.
The bottom line is we just need too bloody much.
Well, why can't we care about our patch and other people can be unethical?
Like, we don't need to reduce emissions because we're so tiny. So the ultimate solution, obviously, is going to be ways to dramatically do that. But scientists are working on ways to replace sand in concrete with materials like fly ash, which is the shit left over by coal-fired power stations.
Yeah, but that means you have to keep the coal-fired power stations going.
And we are.
No.
See?
No.
We're solving the sand problem by keeping using coal. But also potentially shredded plastics, crushed oil palm shells and rice husks. It's been tried.
I don't doubt they're good. But,
well, I don't know. I
assume it's just the volume required. It's not even a...
Possibly. If you've got to grow it.
Yeah, it's not even a fraction. Not even a fraction. I mean, even the plastic, as bad as the plastic situation is around the world, it's not a fraction of what we need in terms of sand. But
like, I mean, people are trying. I mean, some are looking to try and develop concrete that requires less sand. and others are trying to look at better ways to grind down and recycle concrete.
But I mean, grinding down and recycling, I get that. But what's the other bit of concrete if you have less sand?
Cement.
Yes. And then what?
Water.
Cement is the glue, and then you have water, and then you have sand.
So use concrete as the glue. No,
so
not
you have
the glue.
just more glue. You have more glue.
More glue to stick together the stuff that was previously glued.
Yeah, because that's environmentally fine.
How bad could it be?
I mean, I get using less. All right.
Yeah, using less is probably good. So basically, it seems to me we need to heed the World Wildlife Fund's report warning. So
I only listen to the WWE now. When that fight went down, I took the WWE side.
Randy F. Sharp, kick-ass Jackson.
That's it. Yeah, I'm with The Undertaker.
Well, here's what they say. The type of societal shift we need is similar to that required to address climate change.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No.
I know,
okay.
right?
We're only just getting that one done. This is too much.
It's okay, though, because it will necessitate changes in the way that sand and rivers are perceived and cities are designed and constructed. That's all you need to do.
Give me some sort of thing where I can go to Bunnings next time I buy a bag of sand, which is not as irregular as you might think.
Or you like me, like once, twice a week?
Yeah, well, I'm on a slow week, yes, but sure.
Yeah, but you're a man. You're a man with needs.
Give me some sort of. Can I get some ethical sand? Can I?
Smethicals. You might. It depends what you're using it for too. Like maybe the smooth sand from the deserts, which you'd put in your children's sandpit. Fine.
I definitely got super smooth sand for my kids. See? So they just slide across. It's like ball bearings. They just
stand up here. Bang! I fell over again, Dad.
Oh my God! Thank you for making me care about another thing.
I had no idea. Did you have any idea? I had none.
No.
I had none. And I read this and just went, your reaction was mine, but a week earlier. I'm like, what the fuck? Thank you, not at all, everyone. So, dear listeners, you are welcome.
Yeah, the world is getting worse. And
it's getting different.
And only if we learn things can we stop the worsening.
Collectively learn them. And that works. It's very easy.
Why do you do this to me? The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant, him, Rod Lamberts, brought to you by the Australian National Centre for the public awareness of sand mining.
And our tears.
Yeah, and our tears. We'll be back next week, listener.
Maybe we won't. We might be too depressed. At least it's a happy tune.